Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. I'm Vittorio Campanile. With me, as usual, Alistair McKenzie. Hello, Alistair.
Hello, how are you doing?
A little bit hot. I'm really this Scottish weather. I'm not used to it anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this has been probably quite a boring, repeated theme for our listeners this summer, but like 2 months of us just complaining about how hot it is every time we come on. But it still is,
We,
guys.
we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about the weather, Alistair, because the CEO of Serie A said something about that. But before, I want to ask everybody. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, Lazio made 6 signing, and Alistair was on holiday. Last week, Lazio did 0 signing. Alistair, were you working last week?
I was, but you're forgetting something. Lazio, on my watch, managed to sell Il Pirata. He's gone, Vedat Murici. So what do you have to say about that with your theory?
So you're working for selling players, but not for signing. Okay, that's at least something positive.
Hey, selling Murici feels like a signing probably to most Lazio fans at this point after 2 years, and especially if the figures are true that are being reported, the Lazio are getting 10 million for him. It's pretty good. I think it's the ideal outcome though, isn't it? Because for him, he's going to a club.
Yeah,
He's already been successful. He's like we talked about this before that we both kind of wish him the best. Don't really hold a personal grudge against the guy and Lazio are getting the fee that they kind of set out to get. I mean, let's get into it. I mean, I think that he has to be considered one of the worst signings Tari has ever made, considering how much money was spent on him and how much Lazio got in return for that money. I mean, where would you rank him in terms of that?
well, before I will mention that this summer, we have to say has been very positive. We sold Vavro and Murici together, not on loan, you know, we got even money back from them. So I think that's a very positive sign. Uh, about Vavro, but even about Murici, I think they were terrible signing, especially because Vavro always played with a 4-man defense, and Inzaghi only played with a 3-man defense. Doesn't make sense at all. Murici, we saw it at Mallorca, right? If you put the ball high, he's very good with his header, physical, etc. Lazio never played that type style of football, right? So why you go and sign a player like that? The same thing, Johnny Alistair. Johnny was a winger. He's very good with cross, right? We remember the goal in the injury time about with Caicedo, right, at Cagliari. Who made the cross? Johnny. But we never played with a tall striker. Why do you go and sign Johnny? So these are signings that never made sense. So yeah, we can say it was a terrible signing, but I don't believe Murici was that bad. Simply, he didn't fit with Lazio scheme. Same thing Vavro, same thing Johnny, and so on, right?
No, you're absolutely right. But I mean, that is what does make him a bad signing because that shouldn't have been a surprise. That wasn't a secret. It was the fact that I mean, when I tweeted about it the other day, I used the expression "square pegs and round holes," and like you say,
Yeah,
you can use that for a lot of Tare signings around this period. The fact that he was signing, yeah, I mean, beyond Johnny, the fact he got in the likes of Adekanya even, there's no space for a
yeah.
player like that.
Durnisi.
Pedro Neto was very exciting, but he never played because there's no wingers in the team, and he kept signing wingers. Favre, like you
Yeah,
say, wasn't cut out to play in a back three, especially a back three that liked to kind of accept pressure from the opposition and build from the back. That's just not playing to that guy's strengths. I mean, surely if you've scouted him properly, you can see that. And it was the same with Marici. Like you say, I think when people do play to his strengths, he can be very dangerous because we've seen that not only in his time at Fenerbahce, his time at Mallorca, but also at international level for Kosovo. He's constantly scoring goals on international break with Kosovo as well. So, yeah, I don't think he's a terrible player. I think but he's very limited in what he does. He's very much cut from the target man cloth, and that's never been really a style of player Lazio have used before with Inzaghi, but then definitely not with Sarri. So spending that much money on a guy who just doesn't have a place in this tactical system, Made no sense.
No, I agree with you. Before we go talking about other arguments, hello Willie, Lazio fan from New York. Hello GM, Lazio fan from Malta. Hardos, how's my holiday? How's my summer? Very hot, very hot. But can we say positive, Alistair? Because as far as I can remember, I don't recall a summer transfer this positive for Lazio. Not only we are selling players that doesn't fit with the Sarri ball, but we are signing good players. I saw Marcos Antonio in the last friendly. He really impressed me. Romagnoli, I mean, we've been talking a lot about him. Maximiano, look, an interesting goalkeeper. Cancellieri, maybe he's not going to be the Vice Mobile, but he's definitely a very interesting signing, very young and talented. Not convinced about Casale, but Gila impressed me, or Gila, I don't know what's the right pronunciation. So yeah, very positive sunny summer talking about Lazio. And as well, Alistair, we didn't talk about that last time, but even the season tickets, I mean, fans are getting engaging, getting, enthusiastic about what Lazio did. We reached 20,000 tickets, I think. Curva Nord is sold out. So that's another positive thing to talk about.
Yeah, despite, I can't remember who it was, IFTV or someone putting out like a comparison of Lazio and Roma's season ticket sales this summer, despite the fact that Lazio hadn't even opened their wider season ticket sale. It was only for the pre-existing 1920 season ticket holders at that time. So anyway, but yeah, no, it's good that obviously that they're doing it, that they're selling season tickets. They left it later than we would have liked, as we've already mentioned, but now that they're out, there is excitement being generated. And like you say, your summer review of hot but positive, I think that's same for me, same for Lazio probably. Because yeah, there is excitement being generated about this team now and about the players who have come in, what can be achieved under Sarri in the coming season. And I think a lot of that, in my mind, is also just the really novel thing of having all these guys in time to play several friendly matches. It's not a case like we've seen before with players where we're getting to the first game of the season. We're like, well, maybe we'll see this guy off the bench for the first time, And it feels like we're already getting an idea of what Lazio is going to look like next season, which is great.
Yeah, and Sarri can test them. And the other thing positive, Alistair, don't go away. We still have plenty of time to talk about. Maximiano, 23. Gila, 20. Cancellieri as well. Marcos Antonio. Marcos Antonio already played in the Champions League, and he's 22. So we are getting talented youngster, without forgetting Luca Romero, that is not a signing of this summer, but of last summer. And he impressed me. He's even good with free kicks, Alistair. So, talented, younger. I mean, we were the older team in Serie A last year. Now we are one of the youngers, and that's interesting. One point very important is that this helps us also reducing our total salary expended, because obviously a player like Leva, who was very experienced, was getting something like 3.5 million euros with taxes, while Marcos Antonio is just above 1 million. So we are paying less for probably qualitative higher player, right? That's another good thing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a real change, isn't it? Because we went into this summer saying that Ilitare is under pressure. He's had a few bad windows in a row. Really, it's hard to think back to the last summer where we were thinking like it's been a huge success. But this summer, I mean, everything's going really well, and like you say, it goes beyond the signings who've come in who we're quite excited about, to the lowering of the average age of the squad, to the getting a hold of the salaries, but also managing to finally cut out some of the deadwood in this squad as well. That has always been such a problem for Lazio to sell unwanted players. And obviously that job's not done yet, but the biggest ones going into the summer were Vavro and Murici. And it is good that they've been able to find deals for both of those guys at least. So Hot but positive, yeah. It's
Uh, Before we talk about hot weather, it's Iglitari's birthday today. Shall we say something about it?
yeah.
Except
Are
my
you
dog
wanting to
is.
sing or?
I'll leave it to you.
Well, I mean, I saw him. I saw him on the treadmill in that little tour of the Auronso. That was it. Dazon who put that out. I can't remember. And there's a
I think so.
little video of Iglitare hitting the treadmill. So, like you say, I think probably the funniest thing you've ever said about our new Vice Mobile has been found, and there he was. So
We had
I
it.
don't know. I don't know what age he actually is on his birthday, but maybe we can get him like a fake passport and say 23 or something, just so he's in line with the rest of the signings happening.
Uh, Talking about the hot weather, and this, guys, don't laugh about it because it's real. The CEO of Serie A said, I'm a little bit concerned because playing the 30th of August with this weather is going to be really, really hot in Italy. So I don't know, maybe we should postpone some matches, play a little bit later. I mean, you're living in Italy and you're surprised that the weather is so hot the 13th of August. I mean, what a genius you are, right? What a huge surprise. Who could expect that, Alistair?
Yeah, and the thing that's crazy about this as well is that already, the season usually starts later in Italy already because of the heat, and also, um, as far as I remember, well, I've been here anyway. Certainly, the games that are on in August are always on at late kickoffs because of the heat. Whereas this year, it seems like not only have they, shifted everything forward 2 weeks in terms of the start date of the fixture calendar, but they've also put a lot of games on at 6:30 kickoffs, and they haven't really seemed to think about geographically where that might be an issue. I mean, Rome has consistently this summer been one of the hottest places in Italy. And Lazio's first game against Bologna on the 14th of August is kicking off at 6:30. I mean, to put that in context, right now at 6:30, it'll be about 33, 34 degrees. Um, Sorry, I can't translate that into other temperature
I,
gauges, but it's hot.
we have to say, I was out last Saturday, and at 10 p.m. it was like 30 degrees. So I mean, you should be melting. But really, Alistair, I mean, you are Italian. You're living in Italy. Say, the 25th of July, you wake up and say, maybe in August it's going to be a little bit hot. Wow, who could expect that? I mean, serious. We are not. The funny thing, Alistair, is we the Lega Serie A compares often to Premier League, and they say, well, Premier League, they start around the 12th of August, etc. Yes, but in England it's 20 degrees today if they're lucky. I mean, you cannot compare England to Italy, right? For different reasons, especially the weather. So that tells you how bad it's managed Serie A. How bad, right?
Well, you mentioned before we came on, the idea of putting it on at the same time, like in Spain, what they do. They have games at like 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the evening. But that's
Yeah.
that's a cultural thing as well. Is worth remembering. Like in Spain, they do everything a lot later. I mean, in Italy, it's a lot later than what I'm used to in the UK. But in Spain, it's another level beyond that. So it's hard enough getting crowds at games already. I think if you started putting games at 10 o'clock at night, it would be just empty.
Yeah, to be honest, the souther you go in Italy, the later people do things. When I've been to Palermo, people were eating like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, while in Rome it's 8:30. So and Milan is 7. So you see, going down where it's more hotter, you tend to do things later. But still, yeah, we were saying before going live, the first couple of matches will be awful. The last 10 minutes, people will be walking on the pitch. Probably there's going to be, the cooler break, but it won't affect that much. I mean, you should do 10 subs to keep the match alive, I think, right?
Hamza Mir here is helpfully telling us
Yeah.
that 34 degrees is around 100 Fahrenheit. So there you go. This international global podcast, we're going to help everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, Ham. Hamza, for this. Alistair, let's go back to transfer market because Lazio's not done. But one thing wanted to point out is that we were pretty much convinced around May that Luis Alberto and Milinkovic Savic, both or one of them, would have lived Lazio this summer. Today is the 25th of July, and no official offer have arrived for Sergei. Sevilla did some interesting movement from for Luis Alberto, but nothing official and nothing enough to get him. Do you think they're gonna stay even this summer?
Well, yeah. I mean, like you say, the longer time goes on, the more likely it looks, especially with Milinkovic Savic, because there's so much money being spent from the kind of teams who you would expect to be kind of in the running for him if anyone is, are already spending a lot of money. For example, Arsenal's a team that's been talked about. They've already spent 121 million quid this summer. It's hard to imagine them coming in and spending another 70 million euros on Sergei. The thing that's been making me laugh a bit or sigh in the last day or two has been these reports that Man United are kind of giving up on Frankie de Jong now and looking at Milinkovic Savic as an alternative to Frankie de Jong. It's like nobody in their right mind can look at these two players and think of him as an alternative to de Jong, unless your transfer strategy is so completely messed up that you think they're the same kind of player. And maybe Man United, after what they've been through in the last few years, are that messed up. But it doesn't make any sense to me that, yes, United could well come in for Milinkovic Savic, but surely more as a replacement for Pogba than as an alternative to de Jong.
Plus, the funny thing is that BBC was was reporting this news, but was quoting an Italian website. So this tells you how much there is of real interest in the player. Plus, and I think we talked about this already, Arsenal and Manchester United are two teams playing in the Europe League. I don't think Milinkovic Savic is interested in going to a team playing for the Europe League. It would make more sense going to Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester City, a team playing in the Champions League. Sorry, guys, they're coming to collect me.
Yeah, and also if he was a player who was motivated by money, he would already have gone. He will have had opportunities to leave and earn more money elsewhere in the last 7 years that he's been at Lazio. So I don't think he's going to be impatient to jump at the first opportunity he gets. And look, like a club like Man United, they're a complete mess of a club really in the last few years. But they are still, it's undeniable that they're still the kind of club that draws players, that attracts players. And it's possible that even if they're not in the Champions League, that he might have his head turned by that kind of interest. But yeah, he also has this real connection to Lazio. So I don't know, it's really hard to say. I mean, the worst case scenario would clearly be that it's left until the last minute or after the season started in August and then a sale happens. But with Alberto, it does seem like there's kind of a plan in place, at least, where, okay, if Alberto goes, Ilic comes. And that's what they're hoping to do. And the fact that Ilic is a Verona player probably helps with making that realistic. Zaccagni came in really late last summer transfer window, which is a huge surprise because he was one of Verona's best players the season before. And
but sorry, Alistair, do you believe 17 million euros would be the right price? Because I was reading last Friday that Verona is asking for 30 million euros for Ilic. He's young. He had a great season. Do you think Lazio will manage to get him for just 70 million euros? I don't want that it happens like last year, right? Where we were saying, yeah, Kostic is a Lazio player. We just need to sell Correa. Then we sell Correa and Kostic doesn't come.
Because they got the wrong email address.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that it would probably be, it's a dependent move, isn't it? I think I
Yeah,
can't really see Lazio signing Ilic unless Alberto's sold, or Sergei for that matter. But I imagine that Lazio would probably be more willing to up their offer if they've brought in a significant transfer fee. And also, by the signs of things, especially with Sergei, but I imagine also for Alberto, they're not really going to be that interested in staggered deals and swap deals in much else than taking in a big lump sum of cash up front for these guys. And
yeah,
this is where Lotito comes in useful for all Lotito's flaws. When he says it, he means it in terms of
yeah,
selling players.
yeah. Alistair, and I want the opinion even of our listener. Last week, Vecino has been massively linked to Lazio. The news is that he could be signing for us in the next couple of days. What's your take on Vecino? Obviously, he's not coming to be a starter, but I mean, if we sign Vecino without selling Luis Alberto Milinkovic-Savic, I think Lazio's bench, especially in midfield, it's quite interesting. We have Cataldi, we have Basic that is playing really well this summer so far. Obviously, we had Akpa Pro who didn't convince anybody. I mean, if we bring in Vecino for Akpa, I think we have a good option there for our midfield. What's your take on Vecino?
Yeah, I think for the right terms, it would be quite a useful signing. Definitely a very good signing to improve the depth of the quality of depth of the squad. Also, if you sign Vecino, it means that Vecino can't knock you out of the Champions League places on the last day of the season. So that's a positive as well. But yeah, I mean, he's not had that many opportunities really the last couple of years or so. But prior to that, I always quite liked him when he played. I think he would add a lot to that Lazio midfield as an alternative option to take the pressure off the other players in a way that we can't really rely on Akbag Pro to do. For example,
No.
uh, Basic is still learning, and something that you've mentioned before is about the kind of physicality of this midfield sometimes lacking a bit, and certainly would add a fair bit of that as well. So I don't know. Do you think he would play though? I mean, he is more of a Medsala, but he has been used
Yeah.
before by Conte. I think it was as the Brozovic alternative. So I do wonder if they're looking at that and thinking maybe as a Marcos Antonio backup as well, he could do a job.
Yeah, yeah, I think he could be a sort of jolly of the midfield, playing instead of Marcos Antonio, playing instead of Luis Alberto. I think he can play in different position. The thing that makes me wonder a little bit is you have already Cataldi that should be the sub of Marcos Antonio. I don't know if Vecino can play there as well, but the season is going to be very tough, especially in the first 3 months till the break, half November. So, I mean, having more players available there is definitely a bonus. So, maybe Cataldi get injured and Marcos Antonio need to rest. You can play Vecino there. If you have some concern or Luis Alberto get a red card, you can play Vecino in that position as well. The only thing is we have been signing a lot of youngster, and then you go and sign a player that is turning 32. But at the same time, I think you need a little bit of experience still in the squad that has been rejuvenating a lot, but still you need some experienced player to help the youngster improve. So I think it would be a good signing, right?
I'm 32. You're calling me old?
Well, for Serie A, yes.
Experience, I think, was the
Experience,
word.
sorry. Okay.
Um,
Talking about experience, what's your take on Mertens?
Well, this is the thing I was about to say. I don't really mind now that Lazio have done such a good job this summer of bringing down average age in key positions and giving young alternatives to existing players. I really don't mind the idea of bringing in more experienced players on short term deals that are very much focused on short term gains. I think Mertens would be an absolutely outstanding signing as a Vice Immobile. In terms of Mertens under Sarri has been one of the great success stories in terms of coach and player in Serie A in the last decade. I think he's still got a hell of a lot to offer. He still looked really good when he was playing last season as a free transfer. Obviously, he was on a high salary before, but if you can get him on a salary that makes sense, I don't mind that at all. I think that would be excellent. Obviously, it's not like a long-term looking to the future option, but Cancellieri, I think you're asking too much of him for him to be the next cab off the rank for next season. You're pointing to Marcelo. I was wondering when this name would come up. Okay, so
We
Marcelo,
have to talk about Marcelo. Come on.
yeah, that's a slightly different one. I see the allure. I understand why people have got quite excited by it. You know, he's the most successful Real Madrid player ever in terms of trophies won. And in his heyday, uh, incredible. I mean, you know, one of the best left backs ever, you could argue. But my God, he has lost a lot of what made him special in terms of the pace, the explosiveness. I think he's had a lot of fitness injury problems as well recently. I don't watch Real Madrid week in, week out, so I'm not sure. But I think that Mertens for me is a more attractive option because I've seen and I know he can still do it in this league and so on. It feels to me Marcelo is more of like he's kind of coming for a jolly at the end of his career kind of thing. And I don't think that's what we want.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Sergio Ramos, right? Paris Saint-Germain paid him a lot of money, and I think he played 2 matches, right? Something like that. For, what was it, the salary? 20 million euros? You know, every minute of Sergio Ramos on the pitch last year cost more than Milinkovic Savic, Ciro Immobile, and Luis Alberto's salary altogether. So, yeah, I think it's too late. I think the fact that the player last year hardly played with Real Madrid, it's a huge warning signal. I can understand that, you know, Marcelo, as you mentioned, one of the most experienced player, won a lot of trophy. Don't know. The fact that when he has been linked to Lazio, he was at the Maldives bicycling and, you know, enjoying life. It doesn't send to me the right message, right? So, yeah, I know, wow, player with huge experience. Someone said, well, you know, he has like 10 million followers on Instagram. Lazio has like one. He's going to be a big marketing improvement. Yeah, but you don't sign players for marketing, right? They have to play as well. So, and you're not paying cheap. He's going to ask like 2-3 million euros. That's a little bit too much for a marketing guy, right?
Yeah, you have to come with the right motivation, and I think it's something that's always worked for Lazio when they've signed more experienced players is getting guys who kind of have a point to prove, like Luis Alberto did, like Acerbi did by making the step up to a bigger team, like Lucas Leiva did by finally leaving Liverpool and being a first choice player. It's something that they've done well, and when it hasn't gone well is kind of when they've brought in experienced players who didn't really have much to prove, or is the next move, you know, like Nani, like Jibril Cisse, you know, like guys who are just kind of, oh, it's the next club kind of, and Jibril Cisse is probably going back a bit too far, but yeah, you understand my meaning. And I feel like Marcelo, it's almost a bit too late. He's achieved too much almost. It's like, what can he be motivated for by coming to Lazio? Is it going to be that exciting for him to be fighting for a top 4 place in the new league? Or is he just going to be like, I'm enjoying living in Rome, get the carbonara, you know?
Yeah, he just won the Champions League. You know, I don't think he's coming here and prove everybody's wrong. Wrong of what? You just win the Champions League. Cisse, I thought he was a little bit different. I thought Cisse was a little bit unlucky. But yeah, you know, Kakuta, Saha. Do you remember Saha?
Oh my God, yeah, great shout, yeah.
So yeah, as Hardo's mentioning, Klose was the perfect signing. He came with a chip on the shoulder and things like that. I don't think, I mean, Marcelo would be in the disco from Monday to Saturday, you know, and then waking up on Sunday, say, is there a football match today? Oh, well, let's see. You know, so no, I don't think he's the right signing at all.
I mean, the complete opposite end of the spectrum in terms of age, experience, everything, profile is Destiny Udogie, who's been linked as well in the last few days, and for me that'd be awesome. I mean, he looked really, really good last season. Young Italy under-21 international left back. You're signing, you know.
No, I think it's out of reach. I mean, it looks like Udinese is asking for 20 million euros. I don't know where we can take them, 20 million euros. But yeah, I mean, if they would ask me, would you sign Marcelo Doge? I mean, it's not even a question, right? I'll go straight to Doge and say, yeah, you're coming home with me. You know, um, the other option could be Valeri. Now, Valeri, it's playing for Cremonese. He's been one of the uh, best player last season in Serie B. And he's a Lazio fan. He went to Curva Nord. He started with Lazio, but didn't reach the Lazio Primavera. So that would be a signing that would make a lot of sense. He's a Lazio fan. He would come here and do everything he can for his favorite club. Youngster
Another
as well.
one.
Yeah, So that would make sense much more than Marcelo. And I think it would be more achievable than Udoge.
Now, what do you think about the latest? We've had another week of goalkeeper talk, and we've got
Yeah.
more names now.
Yeah, well, it looks like Spezia doesn't want to give us Provedel, so now it's Silvestri, who has been linked to Lazio like for the last 3 years or so, and Sportiello, who I don't like at all. So I don't know. It's even true, Alistair, that this should be the second goalkeeper. So if Maximiliano works, you really don't care who is your second goalkeeper, right? But the question mark is, will Maximiliano work in Serie A?
Exactly. So I think it is actually probably more important than ever to bring in someone you feel like you can rely on. And yeah, like you, I'm not sure Sportiello is that guy. I think he's a keeper who's played a lot in Serie A, but he's never really managed to nail down a kind of regular spot at any club, which suggests that nobody's ever really been that convinced that he is that guy. Silvestri more so. I quite like Silvestri as an option. Again, how happy would he be being a number two? I'm not sure, but like we were saying last week, there's a chance this isn't just a number two job, and it's more of a competing for the number one job because we just don't know what we're going to get from Maximiliano. So yeah, I'd like Silvestri more, but it's a bit, it's running on a bit now, isn't it? We've been talking about goalkeepers, it feels like, for years.
Ages. I mean, we started in January saying, hey, Reina and Stragosha will have to renew the contract, and they both left. Hamza, I don't think Kepa is coming to be the number two for Lazio. I don't see it happening. Silvestri, you know what? I was in Leeds when he was in Leeds, and he lost his job pretty soon. If you lose your job in Leeds United, that is not Manchester United or Manchester City, I don't think you're ready
for championship as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're ready for Lazio. So that's my concern about Silvestri.
He's been good at Verona, though.
Yeah, but well, he moved to Udinese pretty soon, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't know. Again, I go back to, if Maximiliano work, you can even put Alistair as your second choice. I don't care. But if Maximiliano has some issue, then you need maybe an experienced goalkeeper, someone who's ready. And I don't know. I don't see both of them being the right solution. But we're going to see what happens. I think it's... Yep.
I was just going to move on to the latest friendly. I know you watched, and the one thing I think we've started to see from these friendly games is like how the team's coming together, what the kind of first choice team is going to look like more and more. A bit more of Cancellieri through the middle, for example. But one thing we probably haven't seen much of yet, especially those of us who are just watching the highlights, is Maximiano, because he's just not had a chance to really be tested. So, I mean, do you having watched all the 90 minutes of the last 3 or 4 games, have you seen anything from Maximiano apart from how he takes a goal kick?
You know, the funniest thing about that is that I was watching the match. He played like 70 minutes in the last match or so. And, thanks to Lazio, I had to reach a streaming website to watch the match. And it was funny because at a certain point in the first half, he came out and grabbed the ball, high ball. And everybody in the comments section said, wow, a goalkeeper who gets out and grab the ball. Wow, what's happening? I'm not used to that. What's going on? Is that the Lazio goalkeeper? Guys, what's going on? You know, it was funny. He didn't do nothing special. He just came out and grabbed the ball, and people was astonished by that. So honestly, I think he's a good goalkeeper, but we have to test him against bigger match, against bigger opponent. Genoa could be a good test coming in 2 days' time. So yeah, we have to say that Adamonis has been tested more than than for Maximiano.
Genoa and then Qatar, because apparently we're
That's gonna
playing
be
their warm-up game for the opening day of the World Cup is playing against Lazio in pre-season apparently. So I think it would be quite satisfying to absolutely hammer Qatar, especially for these Italy players who aren't going to be at the World Cup.
To answer to question of Hamza and DM, no, Maximiano is Portuguese. He's 23. He played on the under 21 of Portugal, and but he's Portuguese, and they said he had a terrific season last year. So let's see how things goes. He was highly rated, and one reason why Lazio was able to sign him is because Granada got relegated, and so the buyout clause ceased to exist, and Lazio was able to buy him at a lower price. But yeah, we didn't test him that much, so the next friendly match would be important for that. Another thing before we wrap it up, Alistair, I think we're going to see Romagnoli Patrick starting the season. Yeah. Are you ready for that?
Never been more ready for anything in my life. I love it.
I mean, this is what the friendly match. It's true that Casale got injured, but I think Patrick is readier.
Yeah. I still feel like we're a little bit undercooked for big games there. If between Casale, Gila, and Patrick, it's a kind of a combination of, I've said over and over again, I don't think Patrick is the man you want in big games. But also Gila, we don't know how ready he is because Ali's had injury problems, like you say. So we've got Inter on week 5? Is it week 4, week 5?
It's in August. I think it's 3, probably, or maybe 5. Yeah, end of August.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So
that pretty soon anyway. So I'm kind of fine opening the season with Patrick and Romagnoli against Bologna, but I do hope that before these big games we get a chance maybe to consider something else.
You know what? Obviously, as I was talking about Maximiano, it's the same thing. We have to test them against bigger opponent. But Kia, I don't know, guys. Correct me how is the right pronunciation. He played quite well in the last friendly match. He looks a little bit similar to Patrick with the ball possession. He's very good. He likes to take the ball and run to the opposite goal. But even defending, he's not that bad. I think he has to learn, obviously, the position a little bit better. But it looks to be an intriguing signing. He could be one of the surprises of Lazio. And obviously, if his opponent is Patrick, then he has a chance to crack in the starting 11 pretty soon. But I mean, we have to see how things go in the coming friendly match. That would be a little bit more important, important for defense, I think. But yeah, I mean, I think we touched a lot of arguments so far. I think we can wrap it here, right, Alistair?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I thought you were going to start talking about NFTs for a second there, which was terrifying me. So we can probably leave that unless you think that there is actually something genuinely groundbreaking about what Lazio are doing, but I don't understand it.
No, I don't think so. I was trying to do it 2 days ago, but basically, I think you can buy tickets with NFT and pay that with your Lazio token. But I didn't dig enough to study it. I will do next time, though. I know you are really interested in that.
Fascinated.
Okay, guys, I think we can wrap it up here. My wife wants me to go and fetch the water here, so it's hot. We need to drink. So we're going to be back next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Remember to rate and subscribe the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. And if you want to support our podcast, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Membership starts at $2 a month. And we're going to be back next week. Goodbye, Alistair.